What if I told you that building your first affordable multifamily development isn't some complicated process, but a pretty easy and rewarding one, and you're going to know how at the end of this video. We're going to cover setting your vision, building your network, choosing your market, building your pro forma, site selection, pre-development funding, getting under contract, due diligence, creating a concept narrative, and rezoning. And this is part one of a three-part series, so make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next steps. Hey guys, I'm Evan Holiday. I've developed over 2,300 units of affordable and mixed income housing, totaling over $500 million in development, and I've coached dozens of others in doing their first affordable housing development. First, you need a clear vision. What kind of deal are you doing? Why are you doing it? Who are you serving? What market? What's your goal with your development? Be specific. If you are not clear on your direction, it will be harder for others to buy into your vision, and that slows everything down. Two books I use in our business are Vivid Vision and Traction. I highly recommend both books to help clarify and strengthen your vision. Vivid Vision forces you to know why you're developing and helps you to create an actual vision in your mind that is easier to share with others. And Traction is the engine that feeds this vision. It helps you create an operating system with steps for the whole process. These books are part of the reason why we've had success at Holiday Ventures. Here's an example of clear vision from my company. We only do deals between 100 and 300 units, financed with a 4% low-income housing tax credit, new construction development, and focused on public-private partnerships in growing metro areas in the Southeast. And we focus on sustainability, placemaking, and nonprofit partnerships to provide resident empowerment services. We didn't say we would do any deal across the country, like a multifamily development in Reno, Nevada, or a historic deal in Brownsville, Texas. I've seen it a million times before, and it is a disaster. Everyone working on this project needs to have this as their North Star, so they can orient all of their actions to the same goal. So start with your vision. This is really important. Next, build your network. Yes, it's what you know and who you know. It literally takes a village to get a development deal done, especially in affordable housing development. And this will include your architects, your engineers, your lawyers, your partners, investors, and even your city and local officials. When we have our financial closing calls for our affordable deals, we will have anywhere between 30 and 40 people on these calls, and these are just financial partners and attorneys. Start with your existing network of relationships. Who do you know that is already in the affordable space? Or do you have a mutual connection that could introduce you to others that are already in the space? If you don't know anyone, here are 5 ways you can build the right network starting with nothing. DM or email other developers in your market. Go to meetups or networking events like Urban Land Institute. Go to public meetings for housing authorities, council members, or economic development. Start reaching out to brokers who are listing land. Brokers are always very connected. And go to affordable housing conferences. Go out today and start telling everyone you know you're working on your first affordable housing development. I mean everyone. Your friends, your neighbors, your business contacts, even your dog. And what we do comes from building trust and rapport, which really comes from building long-term relationships. So go out and start planting seeds today. I would recommend prioritizing building relationships with 3 people first. Your community leaders, your tax credit attorney, and your joint development partner or capital partner. Community leaders are your council members, your neighborhood leaders, your economic development, your housing authority, or your mayor's office. Your council member and your city leaders control what can and does get built in the city. So it is important to understand what your council member wants in their district early on in the process. We'll get into this a little bit later when we talk about rezoning. And next, your tax credit attorney or counsel will be your eyes and ears to all the rules and regulations that come with tax credit housing development. There are so many nuances to doing affordable housing. You want an expert on your team that you trust implicitly. I have been doing this for over 12 years, and I still rely very heavily on my attorney. You want to start with people who have done this before. Look for experienced housing developers or consultants who can help you. You will need them on your team for your first deal. Even if you don't have a deal yet, start connecting. Take people out to coffee, ask questions. This step is crucial. Next, choose your market. Like your vision, your market needs to be specific. At Holiday Ventures, we are focused on the Southeast right now. If it's not in this region, we are not looking at it. Even within this region, we are targeting very specific metros within specific states. Pick 1 or 2 metro area markets and become an expert. Know the demographics, the rents, the job growth, income trends, and the affordable housing need. The easiest way to find that information to start is with ChatGPT. Ideally, you start in your own backyard, or ideally have a unique advantage or a market advantage that others do not have. You want to become the affordable housing expert in your market. And this step is important. Look for affordable housing support from the local and state government. Who are the city leaders? lenders, what funding is available, do they offer pilots, tax abatements, TIFs, CDBG, home funds, project-based vouchers, local grants, or land trusts. Knowing the local support and financing options are the foundation of your deal. Use Google, use ChatGPT, use your network. Now, build a Proforma, even if you don't have a site. Building a Proforma means creating a financial model that projects the expected costs, revenues, and the returns of a real estate development or investment. It helps you evaluate if your deal works financially. It's like a what-if spreadsheet showing how much it will cost, how much it'll earn, and what the returns look like. It's used to guide decisions like how much you can pay for land, and helps you get tax credits and loans and assess risk moving forward. To build a Proforma for a low-income housing tax credit development, you 1. Estimate total development costs, including land, hard costs, and soft costs. 2. Determine source of funds, stack funding from LIHTC equity, permanent loan, deferred developer fee, soft money, and any gap funding. 3. Project rental income. Set rents based on AMI or area median income, factoring in vacancy and rent-up periods. 4. Estimate operating expenses. Include management, maintenance, insurance, reserves, and utilities. 5. Calculate net operating income or NOI. This is your income minus expenses before debt service. 6. Model tax credit equity. This is based on eligible basis and applicable fraction. Estimate the amount of equity raised from LIHTC investors. 7. Evaluate return metrics. Analyze developer fee, cash flow, debt coverage ratio or DCR, and your investor yields. 8. Ensure compliance. Verify the project meets LIHTC rules for affordability, income targeting, and 15-year compliance. The goal, a balanced deal with no gap in funding. Once you find out what financing options are available in your market, so let's say your market has a tax abatement, so they lower your taxes for 10 years, and they have soft funds like CDBG, then you want to put together a sample Proforma for an ideal deal that would match your vivid vision. To be able to fill out the inputs in your Proforma, you should reach out to your partners like your property management company, your general contractor, your tax credit counsel, and also look at prior awarded tax credit deals and see what their numbers were. That will give you a better idea of how to fill out your Proforma so you're not shooting in the dark. This sample Proforma is your golden ticket. It helps you understand what deals work and what deals don't, and helps guide your selection criteria in your market. Once your numbers make sense, start site selection. Be specific. Here's what we look for. Located in a qualified census tract or a difficult development area. These are HUD designated areas, and you can find it at this map, and they change on an annual basis. And your deals get up to 30% more tax credits if you're located in these areas. Along major transit corridors, urban sites we're looking for 2 to 4 acres. Suburban sites we're looking for anywhere from 10 to 15 acres. We want to do 200 plus units, and ideally it is already zoned. We send this exact list to our brokers, as well as use it to find off-market deals. And you have to be very specific. We're not looking for a 20 unit deal, then a 200 unit deal, then a historic deal, then a rural deal. Don't waste time chasing deals that don't fit. Now let's address the big elephant in the room. How are you going to pay for it? At the same time you're looking for sites and working on your first deal, you should be planning on how you will cover the pre-development expenses for that project. Pre-development can cost anywhere from $2 to $3 million for a 200 plus unit development. And for smaller deals, you can roughly use a rule of thumb of anywhere between $10K to $15K per unit in pre-development expenses. That covers everything from getting a site under contract, getting the architect started on plans, third-party reports, and getting to the start of construction. And this can take anywhere from 12 to 24 months. Where's that capital coming from? If you don't have the capital yourself, then you can raise it from pre-development investors, syndicate a fund, or find a joint development partner who can guarantee the loan and bring the pre-development capital. I highly recommend starting with a guarantor JV partner. It's often the easiest way to get started in doing deals like this. And this is how we got started with Holiday Ventures. We have a whole video on how to raise pre-development capital or find a joint development partner. We'll put a link to that video in the description below. And we share with you our exact Excel model that breaks down all of our pre-development expenses. Go check it out. Highly valuable. So once you find a site that meets all your criteria and the numbers work in your Proforma, negotiate the purchase. Negotiating with your land seller, it almost always comes down to two things: price or time. We aim for 2+ years on the contract. These deals take a long time. Tax credits, financing, approvals, it all adds up. Our approach, give the seller their price if we get the time we need and it aligns with our Proforma. Make sure to have long due diligence or inspection periods and push deposits and closing out as far as you possibly can. You can start with an LOI or a letter of intent to get the negotiations started, but once you get get to a purchase and sale agreement, make sure you are working with your attorney to create this document, as this document is very important to have done right and well. I've made the mistake myself of not using an attorney on purchase contracts, and it costs me dearly. Once your site is under contract, do your homework on the site to make sure you know what you are buying. The first thing we do is the phase 1 environmental. This checks for contamination or any prior history with environmental on the site. And we do a title abstract to confirm the seller in fact owns this property. These are 2 very important reports, and in total will only cost you a few $1,000s, but it will save you from putting time and money into sites that aren't environmentally clean or where the title is not clear, meaning you cannot even purchase the land. Then as you progress, you're going to work on your survey and geotech soils reports, making sure you can fit as many units on the site as you think you can, confirm the zoning or a path to rezoning, and check for red flags. This could be floodplains, sloped or very steep sites, and lack of political support. Do as much homework as you can before you go under contract. Do anything that doesn't necessarily cost you any money up front, like confirming zoning or site feasibility from a site building layout perspective. Keep learning once you get under contract. The more you know, the fewer surprises later. And that is a big part of your job as a developer, is to figure out as many of the unknowns as you can. You want to find out as soon as possible if there are any issues with the site, so you can problem solve them or decide to move on before wasting a ton of time and money on a bad site. Once you have done your initial underwriting and your due diligence on the site, then you want to refine your Proforma, meaning you want to add in the added costs you find from site work or your cost of financing, your rents, your operating expenses, and any other Proforma data points that you learned while doing due diligence on your site. Then you want to build your concept narrative. This is a 10 to 25 page slide deck on your project. This is a very important document because it is like your sales pitch to council members, to city leaders, to investors, to funding agencies, and partners. So make it look clean, clear, and compelling. It should include site overview, project overview, what makes your project unique, market data, comparable properties, amenities, and your preliminary site plan. Work with a trusted architect or a civil engineer to come up with your preliminary site plan. And work with a graphic designer to get your overall project narrative assembled and looking very professional. You can always use Canva to design it or utilize tools like AI to help you write the content, but I would highly suggest outsourcing this to someone who has done this before, and do not skimp on your concept narrative. Let's talk rezoning. It can add significant value to your development, but it comes with risks and time and capital commitment. Rezoning is basically changing the allowed use on a site and getting local and government approval to do so. It all starts with your site's council member. You have to make sure they're in support of whatever your goal is and whatever your development goals are. So first thing is to meet with them and do not make it about your development. You can email them or message them or ideally get a warm introduction, but do not start the meeting just about your development. Don't pitch right away. Build the relationship first. Ask what they want to see in their district and what is their vision for their district, as well as for this site location. Then bring your site plan that you worked on with your architect or engineers and your concept narrative package. And ask them, does this align with what you want to see in your district? Again, they are the gatekeepers for their district. They are the elected officials that the community members have said, hey, represent us and make sure that we only have good development that is built for us, not to us. So you have to make sure you have the community perspective in mind and thinking, how can this be better for the community, for the council member, and for the neighbors? Have that hat on first when you're talking to your council members. If the council member supports you, then organize a community meeting and do this with their help. This is as easy as asking them to help organize the meeting, and they usually take the lead on this anyways. And support from your council member creates a domino effect. It makes community backing, planning commission, and city council meetings and other support gathering much smoother. After you've had a successful community meeting, you will then go to planning commission for approval. And finally, anywhere between 1 to 3 council meetings with public hearings throughout the process. Let me walk you through a quick rezoning example. We found a 17.5 acre site that was zoned for agricultural use, but we knew it was located on a major corridor and in the path of progress for growth for the city. We knew that development was headed that way, and it would only be a matter of time before other developers were looking to develop in this area. And we were actually helping to set the momentum for this corridor. It was along a major bus line and fit all of our site criteria. We worked with the council member to see what their vision was for their district and for this redeveloping corridor. We then worked with our design team to come up with a site plan that included 240 multifamily units, public sidewalks, a bus stop, and a few acres of conservation area. Because it was originally zoned agricultural, the cost of the land was $1.75 million. After we spent roughly $120,000 in about a year to rezone the land, the new appraised value after rezoning was almost $3 million, almost double. This is a great way to add massive value to your development, as well as the surrounding community, by bringing a higher and better use to this corridor, and it gives you equity in the development. It can act like an insurance policy. So if something goes wrong and you cannot get your development done, you could then sell the land for somewhere around $3 million and still make money from your rezoning efforts. Rezoning can take anywhere from 3 to 9 months depending on your city, so plan for that in your development timeline. And there you have the first 10 steps. You've now covered vision, team, capital, your markets, site selection, getting your site under contract, putting your concept narrative together, and rezoning. In the next video, we'll talk about designing your project, getting awarded tax credits, getting permits to build, and finding people who will lend you money or invest in your project so you can build it. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. If this helped you, please like the video and share it with a friend who's diving into affordable housing. Check the links below for free tools and resources to help on your first affordable housing development, like our free development checklist. Thanks for watching and have an amazing day.